What if a tenant trashes my house? What if they don't pay their rent? Hey, it's Sean the Agent here, where I am a realtor, investor, and pastor committed to giving you value. And today we want to talk about landlording. Specifically, 4 things you must know before you become a landlord. Now, here's the most common comment that I hear when I talk to people thinking about renting their home is they don't want to deal with issues. Guys, have you ever heard that? Have you ever thought that yourself? Well, honestly, people are afraid of all of the what ifs. What if a tenant trashes my house? What if they don't pay their rent? What if I have to evict them? What if I go back to the house after I evict them and I find a squatter? And now I have to evict the squatter because some reason the squatter has rights too. That one does still baffle me, to be honest. Here is the reality, guys. Bad stuff can happen when you rent, yes, but it is not the common story. It is not the common story. When you fixate on the worst possible scenario, you end up just living in fear instead of freedom. Who wants that life? So here we go. The best fruits, have you heard this analogy? The best fruits are always the ones that are on the end of the limb. So you have to be willing to go out on a limb to benefit from the rewards. And here's the lesson, I think, in that. Choose a really strong limb to go out on. That's it. And real estate is an incredible limb you can trust if you do it smart. So, I currently manage a dozen house rentals personally. And here are my 4 pro tips for new landlords. First, run a rental like a business from the very beginning. This sounds elementary, but most people don't do this until they learn the hard way. So what do I mean by running this like a business? What I mean is start an LLC. The reason I recommend you to put your home into an LLC is that it immediately flips the switch in your mind and it requires you to start thinking of the house as a business. Guys, it's no longer your home. Home is where you live. It's a house. It's an asset. When you transfer the deed into an LLC, the owner of that house is now the LLC, not you directly, which has benefits. LLCs offer personal liability protection. You know this, right? So what that means is if a creditor or a tenant tried to pursue legal action, that they can really only go after whatever the LLC owns and not whatever you own personally, which is awesome. But here is one caveat. One misconception is that simply having an LLC protects you. And y'all, that's not true. Yes, you have to have the LLC, but you also have to show that you run it like a business, which just means all you have to do is have all of your expenses for the rental in a separate bank account from your personal finances. That's it. So don't collect rent in the same account that you buy groceries in, okay? The fast reason why is you have to imagine you're sitting in the courtroom, and many judges will rule in favor of the tenant's accusation, and if the judge sees that your LLC is a smokescreen, and really you're running this rental from your personal expenses, now you've exposed all your personal assets to be on the line. But if you show that you run it in a separate account away from your personal expenses, you're protected. So go open a business account. All right, so the second aspect to running this like a business is actually understanding what really the tenant-landlord relationship is supposed to be. Now here is the answer. Write this down, okay? Here is the answer. A tenant-landlord relationship is a contract. That's it. The relationship itself is a lease. Now, this one can be hard for some people because, well, one, if you're a hard-nosed individual, it's super easy for you, but most people have kindness and understanding in their DNA, which can make upholding a lease kind of hard. But y'all, it's not an option. It's essential. The relationship is the contract. And what that means is, if you only have, well, really what that means is you only have the right to do what the lease says. You don't have the right to do as you want. All right, here's an example. At times I have had tenants reach out and let me know that their rent is going to be a week late. But y'all, when someone tells me a week in advance that they're going to pay their rent a week late, like, I'm actually thankful for that. I appreciate that, heads up. And my gut reaction is just to say, hey, thanks for letting me know in advance. Let's just waive the late fee and let's just move on. Because guys, I don't know, something in me, I want to be that nice and understanding guy in those times. But that's not what the contract says. The landlord-tenant relationship is the signed lease that states that there will be a late fee charged. So you are obligated to do it. I am obligated to do it. It's actually an integrity issue. Let that one sink in. Do what you say you would do. And if you don't, y'all, you're setting yourself up for hurt, okay? One, you are training your tenant that you are flexible and that they can start taking advantage of paying their rent late or maybe even not paying at all. But two, you have to be careful for fair housing laws. If you do it for one, you have to do it for all. And then lastly, it's very possible that you are giving the judge evidence that you don't abide by the lease. So why would the judge enforce a tenant to abide by the lease if you don't? Oh, ouch, right? That one hurts. Don't lose a court case just because you were trying to be nice. So friends, run it like a business. My second pro tip for you is update and maintain your rental. Now, I always update my rentals when I buy them. I have had people question me on that and ask me, why are you spending money in the rental? Just put it on the market, rent it. It's just a rental. Like, that's just not my perspective. I might have a different perspective than others, and that's okay, right? But I think you should update your rental within reason. Of course, don't go buy the $10,000 fridge that talks to you, right? And cut your apples. But do upgrade the floors, the kitchen, the bathrooms. I say this for two reasons. One, you always want to have an exit strategy. If you ever had to sell the house for some reason, having the updates done always allows you to sell the house in whatever market it is. So I think it's just wise. Two, updates attract a higher caliber of tenant. Tenants that desire to live in a clean, updated home often are people that are clean themselves. I have personally found better tenants that take care of my properties when I have done the basic updates to the house. Now, y'all, I'm happy to consult with you if you don't know what to do. So I don't want you to spend money in the wrong places. So feel free and ask questions if need be. All right, here's a one other kind of fast tip on maintenance. I recommend that you build up an operating budget that literally just sits on the side that is simply for the house. I think your initial goal should be about $5,000 per property, but really to get it up to about $10,000 per property set aside. And that is used for vacancies, so if you have to pay your mortgage and nobody's paying your rent, and that's also used for repairs. So if the HVAC goes bad and you have to pull money out, you're not pulling money out from your personal finances to fix this. That causes stress, y'all. Don't do that. Just pay it from your operating budget. Third pro tip, y'all. Third pro tip. Be a master at screening tenants. Now, I'll get to the point here. I recommend you hire a professional realtor to do this for you. One that has a no-kidding track record of finding quality tenants. Their expertise up front can help you massively. Now, if you really just want to do this on your own, make sure you study what criteria you must have. It can be personal. Things like debt to income ratio, income to rent ratio, credit, background check, verification of employment, get their pay stubs, do the references. Don't cheat the process just because you are excited to get a renter. I see too many people doing that. All right, do your homework. Lastly, manage the property yourself if possible. All right, hear me out. If your stomach was twisted in knots when I was talking about how you have to enforce the lease, guys, just go get a property manager, okay? But if your stomach was not in knots, I suggest you be the property manager for your first investment property for a period of time. Now, the reason I say that is because I find that most people overestimate how much a property manager has to do when they manage your property. And I just think it's a good thing for you to know how the inner workings of your business works. So I can tell you that I spend maybe about 3 hours a year on managing each property, outside of something crazy happening. All right, so for the most part, you can get this on autopilot if you set it up right. I encourage you to use an online payment portal. I use something called Landlord Studios, and I require all my tenants to pay through that portal. It gives them plenty of options and ways to pay their rent, and I don't have to collect physical checks and go deposit them every month. And I can also track and make sure that everything is on track. Another key to managing is that you have a handyman pre-chosen, all right, before you ever need them. If I have a tenant call me, let's say with a leak, I take 5 minutes to talk to the tenant. I take 5 minutes to call the handyman. He goes out, he fixes. I take 5 minutes to give payment for the handyman. Done. That's it. It's not actually that hard. So predetermine who your handyman are. Now, I want to be fair to property managers because they can be of value, particularly in leverage, right? Leveraging a property manager. And it's going to cost you between 8 to 10% of the monthly rent. And often the handyman bills are a lot more expensive than if you organize it yourself. But hey, if you have a good monthly cash flow, then property management could work well for you. I just encourage you, if possible, to do it on your own for the first period of time before you actually hire it out. Now, as I close, don't let any of this scare you away from landlording. It's not hard. You just have to be smart in how you do it. Yo, it is worth it. The house will be a wealth-generating machine one day when your tenant pays off your mortgage for you. So that's not even to mention the equity gain over time. It is worth it. Be patient. Guys, as always, I am here to be a resource for you. Feel free and leave comments or questions. Make sure you like this video if you found value in it, and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any weekly value drops. God bless.